What's up, everybody? Celtic Scarecrow here. Happy 4th of July. Yes, I will still be doing the anime slash cartoon of the month shortly because this is the first Tuesday of the month. But it is also the birth of our nation. So therefore, let's do some Star Spangled reaction. I got two for you. I have seen them both, but they're both really good and should be seen by one and all. First up, the boys of the Black Rifle. Let's hear that beautiful song, Your Style. To get that down, granted, they need to get down their timing a little better, but you can't really rush it. But to get the notes right, it's crazy. Oh, I also know this is going to piss off YouTube. Eli's in the kiddie pool, or just an Eli-sized pool. Crispy! Kind of missed the target there, guys. And Heather. Beautiful. No, I think we got bloopers of them screwing up.
A, B, C, C. Yeah, and I'll go Big G, Big E, yeah. Dang, 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 dang. Dang, dang, dang. You're just walking.
Oh yeah, like I said, how many takes did this take?
E to left. Okay. So ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding.
What? Did I just miss that? Oh, weird. Okay.
Okay, still rolling.
Okay.
Ready, and action.
Yeah, that time.
Oh, man.
That was the Black Rifle people doing the Star Spangled Banner their style, but I've seen this one before. Granted, I'm not going to lie. This is the reason why, kind of like the backstory of our national anthem. Or yeah, got it.
There was a lawyer once. His name was Francis Scott Key.
Yeah, a lawyer wrote this.
He penned a song that I'm sure you're aware of. You've seen it. It's in most hymnals throughout our churches. It's called the National Anthem. It is our song as an American. We go, however, to a ball game. We stand in our church services and we sing the words of that song, and they float over our minds and our lips, and we don't even realize what we're singing. Most of us have memorized it as a child, but we've never really thought about what it means. Let me tell you a story.
Yeah, we did memorize it as a kid.
Francis Scott Key was a lawyer in Baltimore. The colonies were engaged in vicious conflict.
It looks like France right now.
With the mother country, Britain. Because of this conflict and the protractedness of it, they had accumulated prisoners on both sides. The American colonies had prisoners and the British had prisoners. And the American government initiated a move. They went to the British and they said, let us negotiate for the release of these prisoners. They said, we want to send a man out to discuss this with you. They were holding the American prisoners in boats about 1,000 yards offshore.
Back in that day, that is pretty damn far out.
And they said, we want to send a man
Because you got to row out that way.
by the name of Francis Scott Key. He will come out and negotiate to see if we can make a mutual exchange. On the appointed day, in a rowboat, he went out to this boat and he negotiated with the British officials. And they reached a conclusion that men could be exchanged on a one-for-one basis.
Fair.
Francis Scott Key, jubilant with the fact that he'd been successful, went down below in the boats, and what he found was a cargo hold full of humanity, men. And he said, men, I've got news for you tonight. You're free. He said, tonight I have negotiated successfully your return to the colonies. He said, you'll be taken out of this boat, out of this filth, out of your chains.
You said 1 for 1. That means you have the same amount of prisoners. That's where you get a little weird.
As he went
Not prevalent to the story, but just thought in my head.
back up on board to arrange for their passage to the shore, the admiral came and he said, we have a slight problem. He said, we will still honor our commitment to release these men, but it'll be merely academic after tonight. It won't matter. And Francis Scott Key said, what do you mean? He said, well, Mr. Key, he said, tonight we have laid an ultimatum upon the colonies. Your people will either capitulate and lay down the colors of that flag that you think so
That flag isn't accurate. It should be the circle.
much of, or you see that fort right over there, Fort Henry? He said, we're going to remove it from the face of the earth. He said, how are you going to do that? He said, if you will, scan the horizon of the sea. And as he looked, he could see hundreds of little dots. And he said, that's the entire British war fleet. He said, all of the gunpowder, all of the armament is being called upon to demolish that fort. It will be here within striking distance in a matter of about 2.5 hours.
That's like the crazy thing about war back then. You could see the enemy ships coming and just be on land be like, fuck.
Said the war is over, these men would be free anyway. He said, you can't shell that fort. He said, that's a large fort. He said, it's full of women.
It's shaped like a turtle.
Women and children. He says, it's predominantly not a military fort. He said, don't worry about it. They said, we've left them a way out. And he said, what's that? He said, do you see that flag way up on the rampart? He said, we have told them that if they will lower that flag, the shelling will stop immediately. And we'll know that they've surrendered, and you'll now be under British rule. Francis Scott Key went down below and told the men what was about to happen. And they said, how many ships? He said, hundreds. The ships got closer. Francis Scott Key went back up on top and he said, men, I'll shout down to you what's going on as we watch.
That's the crazy thing. Like, this, guess the ship he was on wasn't taking part of the shelling, but like, hey, I'm going to scream down to you guys, tell you what's going on. They're letting me not try to take, like, right, they realize one guy can't take over a whole ship, but they're going to let you just do play-by-play of war.
As twilight began to fall, and as the haze hung over the ocean as it does at sunset, suddenly the British war fleet unleashed.
You could have added sound effects in, dude. You're telling a good story. You don't need to fake the sound effects.
He says the sound was deafening. There were so many guns that there were no reliefs. He said it was absolutely impossible to talk or hear. He said suddenly the sky, although dark, was suddenly lit. And he says from down below, all he could hear the men, the prisoners, saying was, tell us where the flag is. What have they done with the flag? Is the flag still flying over the rampart? Tell us. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the shelling.
I'd be like, hell.
every time the bomb would explode and it would be close to the flag, they could see the flag in the illuminated red glare of that bomb, and Francis Scott Key would report down to the men below, it's still up. It's not down. The admiral came and he said, your people are insane. He said, what's the matter with them?
They're Americans. That's, of course we're insane. We decided to take on the world's greatest army at that time and did things that was not seen in normal tactics.
He said, don't they understand this is an impossible situation? Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. He said the thing that sets the American Christian apart from all other
Religion was big back then.
people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees.
That's not really saying much nowadays. There's a lot of people that, well, are dying on their knees. I am taking shots at things, yes.
The admiral said, we have now instructed all of the guns to focus on the rampart to take that flag down. He said, we don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand that. But he said, now we're about to bring every gun for the next 3 hours to bear on that point.
So they're already 3 hours in. They're going to do another 3 hours. That's 6 hours. That's like a whole shift of work for some people.
Scott Key said the barrage was unmerciful. All that he could hear was the men down below praying. The prayer. God, keep that flag flying where we last saw it. Sunrise came. He said there was a heavy mist hanging over the land, but the rampart was tall enough. There stood the flag, completely nondescript, in shreds. The flagpole itself was at a crazy angle, but the flag was still at the top.
Waste stars on that flag for that time period.
Francis Scott Key went aboard and immediately went into Fort Henry to see what had happened. And what he'd found had happened was that that flagpole and that flag had suffered repetitious direct hits. And when hit had fallen, but men, fathers, who knew what it meant for that flag to be on the ground, although knowing that all of the British guns were trained on it, walked over and held it up.
Like, just knowing you're going to die, but you had it, they just did it because they had to.
Humanly. Until they died. Their bodies were removed and others took their place. Francis Scott Key said what held that flagpole in place at that unusual angle were patriots' bodies. He penned the song, "Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? Or the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that the flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet fly and wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?"
Like, that's the one thing. You do not want to give people an anthem to get rallied behind. And
the debt was demanded. The price, it was paid.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's glass gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch.
But now I'm like cutting off the song, granted. But it's like over. No V, just an apostrophe.
We're so gallantly streaming, and the rockets break clear, the bombs bursting in air.
Not really feeling this version of the Star Spangled Banner. Therefore, I don't have it on there. Finish it up. Finish it up.
Keep through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That is the backstory of our national anthem. Very patriotic person. I always rock the American flag bandana. I currently actually have on American flag shorts because it is hot in here. But that is it. That is all I have. The another video is coming out like within like 5-10 minutes of this video being out. Until then, I'll see you weird people later.